Hello, my name is Sam, and today I'd like to talk to you about my research in our early American history. My research question is, what was the leading motive in the Northwest Indian War that contributed to America's early defeats and their later victories? The significance of this question goes on to answer key outcomes of not only the battles at the beginning of the Northwest Indian Wars, but perhaps those of other wars. The question goes to show the motives of the United States in the war and why they failed to claim an early victory, while also going on to show how the lesser trained and equipped natives were able to hold off the United States for so long. Now, the major types of evidence and the dominant research method I used was called grounded theory research, where the sources began to show the mechanisms of choice and outcome being based heavily on each belligerent's type of motivation. The Indian Confederacy claimed victory as long as their motive was self-preservation. It was only challenged when the United States began to be driven for these same reasons. This changed the war's outcome from motivations driving it to then manpower and technology. Now, the textual material told through diaries, memoirs, journals, and letters built the main body of the work, while the military outcomes went on to prove those motives, either through victory or defeat. Now, the main conclusions are the evidence from letters sent to the leaders in the conflict from Congress showed the motivations of the United States in the war and for those to be conquest when their situation was less complicated. Now, as the tensions built on the Ohio River and the situation became hostile, the United States had to pivot their motivations. But these did not change until the Indian Confederacy outmaneuvered and defeated the second attempt to subdue them. When this happened, the U.S. was forced into realizing if they did not change their motives, they could possibly lose the country to outside interests by them appearing weak. Now, further study could be done on some of the research findings that I had, and those go on to show, were the motives in the Northwest Indian War used in other engagements with Native Americans, specifically those west of the Mississippi? Now, also, is this motivation a standalone drive that leads to victory in war? Or are other factors necessary to understand the outcome of a war apart from motives? Now, some additional evidence that could be studied from my research are, how much involvement did the British have in this conflict? And why would they even care? I learned from the research that the British were involved quite heavily in the Northwest Indian War, though they were defeated a decade earlier. Now, I thank you for taking a listen, and have a good night.